All right, what's up, everyone? Time to do these Monday videos, these Monday podcasts, just to continue to help train our church and to build up our church in different ways. And I thought I would do one this Monday on something I get asked actually quite a lot from different brothers in the church or different individuals. Just kind of obviously, I think they know that I'm a bivocational pastor. I think they know that I work 40 plus hours outside the home and I still take care of things by God's grace in the home. Still find time to do family worships, find time to hang out, find time to enjoy my family, enjoy friends, enjoy going out, and still prepare sermons, still do pastoral counseling, still do what's required of me in the ministry. And I think it was Michael Jordan, who said, "We all have 24-hour days. We all have the same amount of time, as it were. It just depends on how we use that time. I know some people work longer hours. Some people have farther commutes. I know some people have tough schedules, they, things of that nature, or just different schedules from the family. So I know it's varying. I know it's not all of us have the same cookie cutter type of life or the same schedule. Even some people have work two jobs at times, whatever it may be. But I just know that this topic of productivity and time management and being organized and doing those things for the betterment of the family, the betterment of the church. How do we get a biblical understanding of these things? How do we do these things to the glory of God, with the gospel and Christ being with still what's undergirding it, not just productivity for the sake of productivity, not just time management for the sake of time management, not just being a business guru or a CEO type who just knows how to detail every single aspect of his life, and that's the end all. No, it never begins with that. Even as I said in the sermon, it has to be Christ. It has to be Christ undergirding it. It has to be for the glory of Christ. It has to be through the merits of Christ. It has to be to the blessing of Christ. Christ has to be the one building up the home, building up the day, and this is no different. So first, we need to again begin with Christ. Christ has forgiven me of the sin of laziness. Christ has forgiven me of the sin of half-heartedness. Christ has forgiven me of the sin of foolishness with time, foolishness with schedule, foolishness of procrastination, foolishness of being a sluggard and laziness. So Christ has dealt with those sins, and so that means that those sins are really paid for, and because of the death and the life and the resurrection of Christ, and because the ascended Messiah sends forth His Spirit and is equipping us, is growing us, is showing us by the Word what's expected of us, and supplying the ability to live that out, not perfectly, not as if we're going to become righteous in and of ourselves, never that, but the Spirit does help to those sins that we were forgiven of, to not walk in those sins any longer, and to seek to walk in what Christ has purchased for us, which is good works. Christ even said that by your works, the Gentiles will glorify God. By your works, the Gentiles will see what you're doing and think, wow, wow. And your works isn't just being a good neighbor. Your works aren't just being a kind friend, and oh, that person's always happy, that person's always smiling, those are their good works. No, what could be said there is good works as in the way you handle your day, good works as in the way you excel in your craft, good works as in the way you run a business and still have time for the family. These are also good works. So all that to say is, because of what Christ has done for us, because of what Christ is doing in us through the Spirit, because we are children of the Father, this means that we've been given new hearts, new minds, we're new creatures in Him. Therefore, we can now begin to look to the Scripture and see what the Scripture lays out and realize, wow, a mark of a Christian is to not be lazy. A mark of a Christian is to not be disorganized. A mark of a Christian is to not use time foolishly. A mark of a Christian is not to have empty thoughts. A mark of a Christian is not to forget to apply the Lordship over the day. So, all that to say, how do we become biblical, God-honoring, Christ-centered, gospel-empowered, productive, organized, well, time managers, and how do we do this to the glory of God in our homes, in our families, in the church, and in day-to-day life. So Ephesians 5:15-17 says this: "Look carefully then how you walk, not as unwise, but as wise." So he's going to make a contrast between unwise and wise. Next verse: "Making the best use of the time, because the days are evil. Therefore, do not be foolish, but understand what the will of the Lord is." We know what the will of the Lord is. It's his revealed will. It's what he's given to us in his word. So as we understand that, we'll say there is much to do. There is plenty to do. There are things that the Lord has set before his church, his people, that they are to accomplish, that they are to walk in. That's what it says. Look carefully then how you walk. Not as unwise, but as wise, making the best use of the time. So this element of productivity, it's throughout the scriptures. In Ecclesiastes says, "Whatever your right hand finds to do, do it with all your might." Colossians 3, the same thing. Whatever you work at, work wholeheartedly at that thing. So we as Christians are to do all things to the glory of God. And even this one aspect of productivity, how do we become productive to the glory of Christ? It isn't just that we're trying to cram our day with 1,000 things and say, "Well, I did 1,000 things today. I checked off 1,000 things from my to-do list. I'm productive." No, you could be a busybody who's not very productive. The word productive comes from the word basically to produce something, to have something that is that you're producing something of worth. So rather than saying I need to do 100 things, it's, can I do 3 to 4 things really, really well? Can I do 3 to 4 things wholeheartedly? Can I do 3 to 4 things that are under the banner of the glory of Christ, and do those things with excellence? So rather than saying I'm going to do all these things, say I'm going to do a few things really well. I'm going to make the most of my time, and I'm not going to scroll endlessly on Facebook. I'm not going to waste time. So to be productive, we have to look and make a list, to make a inventory list of our day, and say, okay, here are the 4 to 5 things I want to accomplish, and here are the 4 to 5 things, or 3 to 5. These are just arbitrary numbers. These are the things that are getting in the way of that. So we find ways to supplement. We find ways to make the most use of our time that we do have available. So with this view of making the most of our time, of biblical productivity, of doing all things to the glory of God, knowing that all the time that we've been given is borrowed time. It's not time that we deserve. It's time that we've been given by the King. It's time that we've been allotted by God our Father, and saying, this is your time. Don't waste it. Don't think that you deserve this. Don't think that you somehow are owed this. No, it's borrowed time. So we are called to be stewards of that time, to have dominion over that time, to rule over the time that we've been given, and not let the mortal flesh take control, even over time. The same way we want to dominate sin, the same way that we want to dominate the flesh, the same way that we don't want these elements of the old man to rise over us, time is the same way. We can't let time own us. We can't let time overcome us. We can't let time, the great enemy of time, cause us to not do what we've been called to do. So with that in place, biblical Christians must be productive by identifying what's important, what has higher importance, what is a priority list of importance in a day, and seeking to organize the day and structure the day and to manage the time of that day to best accomplish those ends. So this takes intentionality. And you have to ask yourself, what am I trying to accomplish today, and what will get in the way of that? And in our modern era, where we have audiobooks, well, we have podcasts, we have audio Bibles, we have phones, we have emails, we have so much at our disposal that could be good or bad, but Lord willing, we bring that under the reign of Christ, and we use these good technological advances for the glory of Christ. So what I do, it's not what's perfect. It's not, I can't show you a verse that says this is the way to do it, but what works best in my life, in my schedule, is I break every single day down in block schedules. I know what I'm doing from this time to that time. Sometimes when I'm at work, obviously the whole shift is covered in what I need to do at work. But while I'm at work, what am I doing? What am I listening to? I work at a desk, so I can make the best use of that time. I'm listening to sermons. I'm listening to the Bible. I'm listening to the podcast. If I'm interested in something, well, guess what I'm doing? I'm listening to that throughout the day. During my break, I make sure I take advantage of that time. I try to wake up early and I try to get time in the Word and prayer during that time, or I stay up late. So I create a block. During my day, I do block schedules, meaning I separate my day by 15 to 30 minute increments, and I know this is what I'm doing at this time. This is what I'm doing at this time. Even where I schedule in free time to just enjoy life, enjoy my family. But just like tonight, Monday night, it's Monday night. And what am I doing? During this time, I know the kids are down. Wife's busy. This is my time to put one of these videos out. And I'm responsible. I commit to that, and I make sure I set aside the time. So I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm not going to just sit on the couch and scroll endlessly on Facebook. I'm not just going to binge watch Netflix. Those things are time killers, and we should be asking ourselves, if you're getting caught up in 2 hours of scrolling, if you're getting caught up in 2 hours of Netflix, no one's going to be a legalist and say, oh, are you really a Christian? No, that's not what I'm getting. I'm saying, are you doing what Ephesians 5 says, making the best use of your time, not being foolish with your time, not wasting your time over? So we must be organized. We must manage our time well so that we could be productive to those things which matter most. At this stage in my life, what matters most is, number 1, I need to be in the Word. Number 2, I need to be praying. Number 3, I need to be feeding my soul throughout the day. Number 4, I need to be taking all of that and now blessing my family with it, blessing my work with it, blessing my friendship with it. And when I get home from work, I need to be all in with my wife around the dinner table. I need to be all in with my kids as we're playing, as we're hanging out. Do I check my phone from time to time? Of course, just so I can make sure, there's no emergencies I need to attend to. There's nothing that's pertinent, but I just look at it and set it back down. Or I respond very quickly, and I'm back with the family. So I set aside time for the things that I need to do, and I stick to those times. And throughout this time, because of what I'm feeding myself in the Word, in podcasts, in audiobooks, whatever, I am doing what the Puritans used to call meditation. There's occasional and there's deliberate meditation. Deliberate is this: you are literally sitting down and just contemplating the things of the Lord. You're taking a walk and you're constantly feeding yourself the things of the Lord. That's deliberate, and that's important. It's vital. But there's also occasional. What is occasional? Occasional means as you're going throughout the busyness of life, as you're going from to and fro, as you're driving home, you're just quickly thinking about something that you've been studying that day. And I used to think, oh, is that really going to help me? Is that really going to help my spiritual walk with the Lord? And I'm telling you, it is completely transformative. What you take in, constantly be feeding yourself that throughout the day, and you'll see that you'll begin to apply that word that you've taken in, apply that meat that you've taken in. Obviously, you go from season to season, and you're going to change, and you're going to look at or study different things, feed on different books of the Bible, of course. But you're always working with that. You're always chewing on that throughout the day. You're always meditating on that, and you'll see that you'll begin to be less likely to waste your time because you're constantly feeding yourself the things that you are called to do, the things that you are called to enjoy. So that's called occasional meditation. And so you take that and you, any place, anytime, as you're washing dishes, as you're outside cutting the lawn, as you're working out, whatever it is, you're feasting, you're taking in, and you're retaking, and you're feasting, and you're retaking that in, and you're just going about your day, constantly feeding yourself. That's productivity. It's literally constantly using the time, rather than having empty thoughts, rather than just letting your mind go anywhere. You're using the time to be intentionally reclaiming it for the Lord. So as we do this, let me now take those truths of productivity, organization, time management, and how to meditate on Scripture throughout the day, and let me apply this to how we do this in our children's life, in our family's life. Listen to what it says in Deuteronomy 6, 4-9. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words that I command you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your home, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. See that? The commandment of the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, with all your might. And then Moses goes on to saying, basically, no matter when during the day, no matter at what point during the day, no matter if you're lying down, rising up, no matter if you're walking, sitting, it does not matter. You're going through the door, there it is. You're going through the door, it's on the doorpost. It's between your eyes. What Moses is getting at is, throughout the entire day, your day should be constantly consumed by the love of God and our response to that, by the gospel of Jesus Christ and our blessing from that and our living in light of that. This is not hyperbole. This is not something that is how you would like unattainable. This isn't something that is a so far out goal that, oh, Moses is surely not expecting anyone to do this. No, he is, because he knows if this is on the frontlet of our eyes, if this is constantly what we're about, like I said, meditating on it deliberately and occasionally, if we're in our productivity, in our time management, in our organization, if we're organizing our day and our priorities and what we want to accomplish, and if we keep who our God is and how we're to respond to that God in love, and as we do anything, we should do it in response to that, in light of that, then we'll begin to live all of life coram Deo. It'll be very hard to waste time, to kill time, to use our time foolishly when the love of God is on our mind constantly, when scripture that we've been feasting upon is on our mind constantly. This is how you'll raise children in the Lord. This is how you'll have a biblical family. This is how you'll work a good job and do it excellently. This is how you'll avoid spending hours and hours scrolling on Facebook or scrolling on Instagram or binge watching Netflix for 6 hours. This is how you do it. It's what Moses was instructing parents to do with their children, but there's an underlying reality to that. If the parents are to do that with their children, guess what they're called to do to their own hearts? The exact same thing. It begins with realizing all of life is lived as worship. All of life must be lived to the glory of God. All of life, including time, must be brought under the lordship of Christ. And when we realize that, then we can take every single day and say, today I will take dominion on this day. Today, I will live it for the glory of Christ. Today, I will not waste time because of the love of God, because He is one, and He has sent His Son to die for me. He has sent His Spirit to awaken me, and He gives me the power to live under His gospel and to reclaim all things as His, including my time. So, productivity, time management, organization, and all we do, it's done through the gospel of Jesus Christ and keeping that love of God constantly here, constantly meditating upon that in your scripture, in your prayer time, in all things. These things are to be called to mind, and you'll see your productivity shoot through the roof. Live every single day for Christ, by Christ, through Christ, and you'll see you keep that here. You keep yourself meditating on that. You keep yourself refeeding on what you've taken in. And you'll see it'll be very hard to waste time because you'll be doing it out of the joy, out of the satisfaction, out of the happiness of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I pray that we could be a people who maximize our time on this earth for the glory of the King and His kingdom. Be blessed, church.